people that are watching online. I believe we have people from England, Israel, the US.
Okay, my name's Alex. I'm the founder of Trim.
First-hand dramatic impact of climate change.
We will send a read-only copy.
Please jump on here, send us.
And we are live. Welcome everyone coming online joining us today. Obviously, we are not in the studio, and today we have Liz and Jonathan joining us online, continuing our conversation from last week about MVP Ventures Grant for New South Wales. Welcome everyone. Say something first. Let's test the audio.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Good. It's working, and let's see. Okay. Where are you at the moment, Liz?
I am on Gadigal land
in
Sydney.
Very good. I think I'm also on Gadigal land, Epping, Sydney, northwest, 10 kilometer north, 15 kilometer northwest. I think this is also Gadigal land. How about you, Jonathan?
I'm in Gadigal land as well. Yeah.
All right.
I'm at home.
At home, okay. So we are all within 10, 20 kilometer of
very close proximity
to city. Okay, good. Thank you for making time today. And now let me share the main material of today. And I suppose to switch over to this screen. And voila. Does it work? Yep. I think this is what we will have. And today we are talking about MVP Ventures 2023-24, particularly on the three important questions, the innovation assessment. Before we jump into that one, any upfront remarks, statement, or punchline first?
I think the best way is to go through the questions, and then we can assess them one by one and give people tips as to how to concisely answer the three questions that the government is looking for, because 250 words is not a lot of words.
And I think putting things into context, the innovation assessment is pretty much the bulk of the expression of interest application for the MVP Ventures program. And that's why we thought from last week's conversation, we wanted to do a deep dive into the three main aspects of what their application is looking for. So let's see what we can do.
Yeah, appreciate your time. And moving right along, of course, we have to acknowledge the channel that we are on Fishburners live channel. And why we do that? Because we are actually, Jonathan, Liz, and me are all Fishburner members, one way or another, having different roles. And we all linked together by Fishburners Founders Hub and Service Hub. And if you go to Fishburners members portal, I think it is this one. Voila. And if you go to Fishburners Founders Hub on the portal like this, in here in the lower left hand corner, you can see the tab. Click into the Service Hub. Voila. And you shall be able to get to a Service Hub where you can find all the places or all the people who can help you in your startup journey. But we should not be thinking about the service provider. We should be thinking about the founders. And here I had a quick list of the founders challenge. How about you, Jonathan? How could you help in this? How have you been helping founders in this landscape of hurdles and problems?
Yeah, I've always been operating in the very early stage from ideation to market validation, building your first MVP and finding product market fit. And all of these here are all the main challenges and factors that founders would face, especially in capital raising and grants. And Liz and I specialize in grant consulting and helping founders with application, trying to get some dilutive funding from various different government sources. So that's a very big thing that Liz and I both are into. But we also mentor founders, help them with team dynamics. Like one of the major issues with early stage startup is how the team dynamics, and 90% of the time it's not the business that stuffs up, but it's people that couldn't work together, or there might be a breakup or whatever it is. And actually, as mentors, we don't do much. We do a lot of counseling. Would you agree, Liz?
Yes, I would say we are part therapist as well.
Mainly.
Times, yes.
Therapists. But Liz, you in your LinkedIn profile, which people can find in the description below, Liz, you are RDN. What is RDN?
Yes. So I am a registered dietitian and nutritionist.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
yes. So that's a sector focus of mine. I specialize in food and nutrition, food tech. So that is something that I can help with from a sector perspective.
I see. And you had some food and dietary related startup history in the past and some kind of exit in the past as well.
Yes, I did. So I had a business. It was called Cater D. We were the maitre d' of catering online. So our platform connected small local food businesses that made delicious food with corporate catering clients. And so we provided the customer service and the technology to enable them to seamlessly order from each other.
Very good. Very good.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for with your background information, and I think actually hopefully everyone would know, right, Jonathan and Liz are here sharing their real experience, not theoretical. They have real practical in the ground, on the cold face experience. Okay, moving right along on our slide deck, back to the Service Hub. And this was the screenshot I showed earlier, and where you find a lot of different help. When you have all these kind of problem, some of them need to be done by yourself, but some of them could be outsourced to provider. And you see a familiar face in here. Jonathan happens to be a mentor, a member, as well as one of the service provider on the Service Hub. And here's a close-up shot. Besides Jonathan, we have some marketing services and Slick. I can't remember exactly what Slick does. If anyone have looked up the our Service Hub and find out more, share it on the comment and link in the description below. And if you are representative from Slick, tell us how we could position your service more prominently in this upcoming conversations. Okay, moving right along. Why we are here online instead of in the studio with that beautiful shot? Because we have a bonus lesson to you on human anatomy, and it is called Liz Frank Mid-Foot Injury. Lesson learned number 1. When you have 3 dogs on the street meeting up with each other, when no matter how they behave friendly in the first 10 seconds, they will fight. And when they fight, you will suddenly realize one of your foot having a body part that you never realized for 50 some years. And this part supposed to flex, but not supposed to move. And as a result of the dogs fighting, somebody hurt his foot. And that's why I am working at home for this whole week. So that's a bonus lesson. I hope you don't mind.
Hope you get well soon, man.
Yeah.
My foot is getting better. Let's clap our hands together for whoever created this sophisticated human anatomy and taught me a lesson this week. Okay, moving right along. And now go back to our core subject, innovation assessment part of the MVP grant application. There are many questions throughout the application form. the EOI form, I should say, in the EOI form, and this is the 3 key questions in the middle part of the innovation of the applications. Jonathan, would you like to lead us into this? And
sure. I think the 3 questions are designed specifically in the application in a specific chronological order. Well, if we go to the first one is about describing your product and your project, right? So that's your typical elevator pitch. And at this stage, what you're really doing is very clearly articulate what are you trying to do. Like I'm pretty sure all of us have encountered, meeting someone at an event or whatever, and they talk for 10 minutes, and after that you go, okay, don't really know what they were talking about. They might dive right into the technicalities of it, but you don't have like a context of what the business or the solution is about. So this is your chance to really articulate very clearly what you're doing in simple terms. So if I put my assessor hat on, we look at, back in the days, I look at 10 applications a day. So we want to be engaged. If I look at a bunch of text and I comprehend it and I can't understand it, then you lose the attention. So I think that's the first thing, your elevator pitch. And if we move on to the next one, we can always come back for deep dive. Is about describing the innovation and the technicalities of it. That is more around, let's say, for example, you have come up with a new material that can conduct heat, 200 times better, as an example. That's the question, where you can really explain the technicalities, and you have a patent, then explain why the patent is unique. So talking about the technological aspect of it, and also how it is integrated into, other solutions that your target audience is using currently in the market. And then finally, the last question, it's about, if we can go to the next one. Yep, that's the typical competitive analysis. So now you have explained what you're doing. You have deep dive into the technicalities and why this is new or innovative, or how you're building defensibility, and then you talk about your competitive landscape and really comparing your solution as in what kind of improved outcomes you can offer to a market or describe the market gap per se. And I'm pretty sure Liz would have a lot of insights into some of the details of how you might be able to articulate yourself in those different areas of the application.
Yeah, so while we're on this slide, I think I'll add a couple of points here. So the first thing, and Jonathan and I will have heard this many times, is that it doesn't matter what business you are in, you have competitors. If you write that there is no competition in market, that you are uniquely singular, you are mistaken. And the reason why I say that is because your customers or potential customers are solving their problems somehow. It might not be as good as your solution. It might be clunky, it might be painful, but they're solving it in some way. So for example, my business was a platform that connected caterers to corporate catering needs. So a competitor, even if it was indirect, was the caterer themselves or Google, because the customer could go online and look for caterers and contact someone directly. Just because it wasn't a platform didn't mean there wasn't competition in market. So if you are clear on how you're differentiated, even amongst solutions that might not be, in your opinion, fit for purpose, that will help you make your case for the innovative portion of why you are eligible for this grant.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, whenever we hear there's no competition, we kind of knew that it's, first of all, it's a red flag, but we kind of knew that the founders probably haven't dig deep enough into the market and segmentation of the market. I remember hearing a case study, Lego. At some point in time, in early 2000, mid 2000, Lego faced a big problem, and they were trying to figure out what's happening and looking at the competitive landscape, because previously Lego has been seen as a toy and a physical toy that goes into, goes domesticated, right? And kids and parents play together. And they were experiencing like a drop of sales. And finally, what they found is they found that their competition actually came from social media and also online games, because kids are no longer playing Lego because they were drawn to playing online games with excessive hours. So that can sometimes be missed, can be overlooked. So as a founder, it's your job to really look into the market gap, and also what unique aspects of your solution is actually filling, and then looking around that segmentation to see who else is actually getting the attention of your customers.
Shall we go back to first part of the series of 3 questions?
Yep.
And when Jonathan go through this one, we haven't got chance to highlight any good example or any disaster example. Anything you can share?
What's a good example?
So here I would say this is where you really want to outline your unique value proposition. Because remember, the new MVP grant is not just about creating your first iteration of whatever it is that you want to build. You can be up to TRL level 9, which means that you have a fully fledged product out in market, and that you are applying for these funds to commercialize something else, essentially, or a different iteration that's solving a different problem. So your unique value proposition has to come across really clearly here, and why it's significantly different. So if you have created something and now you are applying for funds for something that is, you have to make the case that it is very different than what you've already created. It can't just be, a base level improvement. It really has to be differentiated.
So if someone have to write up that 250 words to achieve the level of clarity that could win the hearts and minds of the assessor, any practical steps that they could do? Because Jonathan called this almost an elevator pitch. Naturally, I would think of Giddy's pitch. You know how blah, blah, blah. Our solution is blah, blah, blah to make things like this, like this, like this. Would you recommend people to start from a Giddy's pitch or something similar?
On that point, man, I always go back to one principle. I believe that business fails the same way. There's a pattern of failure and things that can go wrong. But almost always business succeed quite uniquely in their own way. So I'm not a big fan of formulas of how people should do things, like the typical 10-page pitch deck. A lot of companies try to use that as their pitch, but it might not fit their business itself. Some business you might have to describe the solution first, because it's a solution-driven value proposition. For some business you might want to describe the market problem and the market gap itself, and describe the customer. Yeah. So it's really depends on your business. But I guess the premise is, if we're talking about structure, I'll put it in the 3-tier structure. The first thing is really what Liz was mentioning, your unique value proposition. What is it that sells, right? Is it a customer problem? That's the market gap that we're selling, and we're addressing that. So that's your thing. You want to capture attention by doing that. Or we've come up with a really innovative, like new kind of new drug for curing cancer. Like that's a punchline, right? You can really capture people's attention, like depending on your business. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is where you're at and where you will be after spending the grant money. I think that's quite an important one, even for your capital.
In here, you mean in this first question, already highlighting how to spend where's the grant money spending?
roughly, like as an overview, like
Okay.
really anchoring what the project is. Because sometimes I'll give you an example. We might have already done a lab breed, prototype. It works in a very small scale. But then, because of our customer interview, now our anchor client tells us that if you can't churn through 20 kilos a month, for example, we can't adopt it. We can't buy it. But currently, your lab prototype can only do 1 kilo per month at that kind of scale. So your next project is to work with industry and create a larger pilot prototype, for example. Okay. Make it very clear that is what you're intending to do, and aligning it with the guidelines. It means that, okay, from TRL4, which we've already done, tested it a little bit in-house. Now, after implementing this pilot project, we would potentially be between TRL5 and 6. If you can spell that out very clearly for the assessor to understand, then they have a mental context of what to expect in the later parts of the application. And going back to one of my comments earlier is this is an area that is often overlooked also in your capital raising strategy. A lot of founders, they focus on how much money I need and what I need to do, like 50% dev and 20% marketing. But you don't really talk about at the end of spending all of the funding, what do we get as an investor? Yeah. What is it that we are getting? Like where the company will be from a milestone perspective and from a commercialization perspective. How far have you progressed? So that would be the second thing that I would mention in this first question. And lastly, you might depending on your business, you want to close it out with a very clear going back to your unique value proposition again and tying it with your technology, because after all, it's an innovation and technology commercialization grant.
Very good.
And it's a commercial, like the commercialization part is also, I think, Jonathan, just to piggyback on what you were saying before, you will be able in your application, if you can concisely describe how you will get to TRL4 to TRL6, for example, and the outcome of that will be the ability to produce 20 kilos of whatever it is that you want to produce, and then be able to acquire this customer. And, like in the future, or maybe you have other customers lined up where, they are also interested in purchasing what it is that you will now be able to accommodate. So having some kind of commercial outcome, I think, really makes your expression of interest much, much stronger, because the assessor can see that clear path to commercialization as well. It's one thing to build something, but if no one's going to buy it, what's the point?
That. Yeah, we call it the so what question, right? So what? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can do this, you can do that. I have this, I have that, but so what? At the end of the day, if you ask yourself that question, it helps to really wrap the whole thing together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so second part of the question again. Technological characteristics of the product or process. What can go wrong in some answer in this part? A strong answer with clearly describe the technological characteristic. What is a strong answer? This is obviously not strong enough.
Your foot is not strong enough, otherwise you wouldn't do it, right? Do more exercise. I think a strong answer it probably means a compelling one, a competitive one. In that sense, if we're confused about the definition of the wording, and if the first question was the so what question, this I usually use a prompt for myself is what can we do as a team that no one else in the world can do? Like that's an exaggeration, but it's a good frame of mind for you to be in that kind of headspace. Like, what can we actually do? Because we see a lot of pitches, like we're building this two-sided marketplace, and then we have this AI element which automate XYZ, and is that something that no one else can do really? And if really so, then it's your job to really describe how you are doing it differently, and don't be afraid to really spell it out in a simple way, because at the end of the day, it's about understanding. Like we can read a lot of things, but if we can't understand it, then there's no less meaning to it.
Any thought from Liz?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the question. A strong answer describes the characteristics, how they're innovative, and their purpose. And so I think there's probably many businesses in the market trying to do what it is that you're doing, or trying to solve the problem that you're solving. I think what they're asking for here is, how is the solution innovative? How are you trying to solve this problem in a way that no one else is trying to do it? So, for example, I'll use my own business. So we launched, I'm dating myself here, but we launched before Uber Eats and Deliveroo. Like, we were actually pre all of those platforms, right? So in that case, it would be, if you're talking about innovation, what would have made us innovative is that we could handle requests and dietary requirements and provide customer service for hundreds of people. So that could potentially be a differentiator, kind of still the same solution because you're ordering food through a platform, but what makes you different in terms of the solution that you're providing? So if you can differentiate yourself, and I think back to our mate that I was talking about last week who posted his YouTube video, how he was a physician and he was saying that the assessor said that he wasn't innovative enough because there were a lot of other options in market. Maybe what he didn't do was articulate how his solution was differentiated from those other solutions. Because we're going to talk about what makes you unique, those like technological characteristics. Here we're talking about like your solution specifically, kind of against, what other ways it could potentially be solved. And then in the next question, it's more about that competition. Like, this is how we're different against, what currently exists. So, and if you already have a solution and you are applying for additional funding for, for something that you've created that's new, or, in terms of a prototype that you now want to scale, is how your solution is different than what you've already done. That's very important, because what you don't want to do is have your application or your expression of interest come off like you're building a new feature. Like, you just want to add something new. So you're asking the government for 50 grand so that you can build a new feature that's, that they're not interested in that, because that's not innovative to them. They want to know how this new product or process is truly innovative and why you would need government money in order to do that.
Very good. Okay, moving right along, and we kind of, this is the final question about comparing to competition. I want to actually go to the next two parts, which is about the extra supplementary material and document for uploading. This is the list on the government form. And then project pitch. You can submit a free 10 slides material, or you can submit a 3-minute long online video. Any comment on that from Liz
It doesn't
and
hurt
Jonathan?
it doesn't hurt to put both in, the pitch deck and the online video, although it says 4. Sometimes it helps with explaining things in a video. And again, depending on your business itself. But I would put both if I were doing it.
And if you can't because of the portal, what you can do is in your pitch deck, put links to your video in that pitch deck, because chances are if they're looking at your pitch deck and they see that there's a link to a video, they'll probably click on it.
Yeah.
So that's a way to potentially get around any technological limitations that you might have.
Sure.
Okay.
And a very quick note on the pitch deck and the video. I've seen a lot of companies, they just upload their existing pitch deck for the investor or for the customer pitch deck onto the application. It's probably worthwhile to repurpose it a little bit to align with what the grants is actually looking for, like the elevator pitch and then the project itself, like from TRL X to TRL Y, and what the commercial outcome, like it will help to kind of crystallize what your project is about in this pitch deck and online video.
Yeah. If a startup have no clear ownership of IP, and what do you think? So this list be a clear point of differentiation for those people who want to start a startup without an IP or without a patent, I should say specifically, without a patent. If they don't have a patent, should they just give up? Or
but this question is actually optional. It's optional. You don't have to upload anything. Like most companies don't have a patent or would never get a patent. Right?
All right.
So that doesn't mean that they don't own an IP.
Yeah.
So
have you ever had one, Jonathan? Did you have a patent?
I've never had
your
a patent.
Business? Me neither.
All right. Okay. So
the nature of our business is
just double check one more thing. For those cases that you, Liz and Jonathan, have helped and succeed in getting the grant money, did they all have patents?
No.
No. Good. So it is an optional bonus if they do. Now, one thing is actually, in the last conversation, we talked about the importance of having client reference or industrial reference to just support the application. At which point in this innovation assessment should we put in those information? Say, for example, if I have a potential industrial client who is going to buy my invention or my product or services, and any specific place I should highlight it, or should I actually hold on to it and leave it till full submission later?
From the guidelines, it doesn't say you need to. Okay, that's a guideline thing. In their full application, yes, I think there's a chance and a place for you to put in supporting document and nominating a validating entity and explaining XYZ. But in here, I think what you can do is you can incorporate it in your pitch deck and your video.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the best way to kind of highlight some of the things that will strongly support your application and what you're doing.
Yeah, I would second that. Potentially in a video, having them talk about how enthusiastic they are about what it is that you're doing. Video is great. Video is really engaging, and I think doing both is worthwhile. Pitch decks are reasonably straightforward. 10 slides is not a lot of slides. So I think a really impactful video will really help to bring your idea and your unique selling proposition to life, particularly because it's not a lot of room. 250 words isn't loads of room, but this really helps to illustrate and potentially bring to life aspects of your product that might not necessarily have come across in the written word.
And even better, in the video, if you can incorporate some of your potential customers, your trial partners, to talk a little bit about your solution, that's even better.
Yes.
Always third-party validation, has a lot more weight than whatever you gotta say.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you very much for Liz for spending time with us and going through the innovation assessment. That come to our closing slides. Is everyone link in the description below about connection to Jonathan, connection to Liz, and also if you have any question regarding deeper into those innovation assessment in the MVP EOI form, ask questions in the comment. If you already a Fishburner virtual member or member, you can find Jonathan and Liz and myself on Slack channel, and hopefully we can help you work out your process and work out your applications. what shall we cover in the next episode, next Thursday, Liz?
I don't know. Maybe the application itself? Is there...
That really is the application, because without the UI going through, there's no point really thinking about the detailed application that comes afterwards. I think one of the more common questions I get asked a lot is, is it worth my time? Perhaps we can talk a little bit about that, and what kind of mindset we need to be, what kind of headspace we need to be when tackling, using government grant as part of your capital raising strategy. Perhaps we can do that.
All right, we are stop sharing, and we have less than a minute left for our program. Thank you very much, Liz. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thanks
for
everyone.
having us here.
All right, find our link in the description, ask question, and connect with Jonathan and Liz. See you next
week.
time.
See ya.